Many cultures have books that use pictures to tell stories. In English, we describe them with the word comics. Comics, as well as the characters that come from them, are a huge part of pop culture. Not just here in America, but the world over. So it shouldn't come as a shock to find out that comic books have been used as inspirations for Japanese anime and manga. So, without further ado, let's look at some examples together. Starting off, there are a ton of anime that star Western comic book characters. The easy example to use is the Marvel Anime series. A little on the nose with the title there, don't you think, boys? Marvel Anime has 4 shows under its belt: Iron Man, Wolverine, X-Men, and Blade. Each is a 12-episode series that was made by Marvel with a collaboration from Studio Madhouse and Sony Pictures Japan. The plan with these 4 shows was to introduce the characters of the Marvel Universe to a Japanese audience. Warren Ellis, an English comic writer known for work on Authority and Transmetropolitan, was tasked with guiding the writing on the shows, but the studios were given free rein to make the heroes fit for a Japanese audience. Separate from the Marvel Anime Initiative, Marvel also made 2 other Avengers anime projects: Marvel Disc Wars The Avengers and Marvel Future Avengers. Marvel Disc Wars was made by Toei Animation in 2014 and was a tie-in with the MCU to market toys to young Japanese boys, while Future Avengers was made yet again by Madhouse in 2017, also to introduce a new audience to the Marvel Universe. Both Disc Wars and Future Avengers are not well received by fans in the West, but they seem to do well with the young Japanese boys that they were marketed towards. But Marvel isn't the only comic company that has made anime. DC has gone in on the action as well. In 2008, Madhouse, Production IG, Studio 4C, and B-Train Production worked together to make Batman Gotham Knight, a movie that tells different vignettes about the many adventures of Batman between the events of Batman Begins and The Dark Knight. Yes, that's right, the same people who animated One Punch Man made a sequel to Batman Begins. I saw this movie years ago, not knowing it was made by anime studios, and I really enjoyed it. The stories have some interesting takes on Batman, and I highly recommend checking this out. And in the same vein, we have Batman Ninja from 2018, which takes Batman and his extended cast of characters and places them in feudal Japan. It was directed by Junpei Mizusaki and animated by Yamato Works. The film was well received by critics and fans alike, so looks like this one is worth the watch as well. It makes a lot of sense that Marvel and DC would want to make anime out of their characters. But what fascinated me the most while doing research for this video was that there are 2 original anime made in part by comic book legend Stan Lee. The first is the not at all generic sounding Heroman. Heroman was written by Stan Lee and illustrated by Tomoe Ota. It was first published in Square Enix's monthly Shonen Gangan magazine, and it was published from August 2009 to October 2011. There was also an anime adaptation made by Studio Bones. If I had a nickel for every anime made by Bones that had hero in the name, I would have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice. The anime aired from April 2010 to September 2010. The series follows Joey Jones, JoJo, who wants nothing more than to own a state-of-the-art Heibo because Joey believes it will help him be a hero to protect his friends and family, but he can't afford one because he lives on a server's salary. However, one day he stumbles upon a broken down one abandoned on the road, a la Chobits. He attempts to fix the newly named Hero Man, but it doesn't work until it is struck by a bolt of lightning, a la The Flash. Now, Joey and Hero Man must work together to save Earth from aliens known as the Scrug. Hero Man blends classic shonen tropes with comic book tropes to create something that I would have loved as a child. Joey is a combination of the typical shonen protagonist and Spider-Man, who is a Stan Lee creation. And in fact, a lot of the other side characters are also very similar to other Spider-Man characters. Lena is a popular girl who obviously has a crush on Joey and is definitely a Mary Jane parallel. And Will, Joey's bully, has a huge resemblance to Flash Thompson. Even Hero Man was based off of Spider-Man's giant robot he uses to fight. Wait, you don't remember the giant robot? It was from a Japanese Spider-Man TV show where Spider-Man would summon a giant robot to fight a giant monster at the end of every episode. And thus, Power Rangers was born. Where were we? Hero Man. Right. Some of the other extended cast members, like Sai and Joey's grandmother, look right at home in an anime. And some of the Scrug are literally just angels from Evangelion. This balance of anime and comics makes Hero Man stand out in a good way. But this next Stanley creation, it stands out in a not so good way. The Reflection was created by Studio Dean and POW Entertainment, which was owned by Stan Lee. The anime ran from July to October of 2017. The Reflection is the most unique anime I have ever seen. It looks nothing like an anime, and it doesn't feel like one either. Let's start with the art style, because that is the biggest difference between it and traditional anime. It goes for this almost cel-shaded looking style. Stan must have stumbled across Delta State one day and thought, "Is this one of them animes? Excelsior!" The art style is honestly a bit of a turnoff for me. Not because it doesn't look like an anime, but because it looks unpolished and weirdly jittery. There is also the general vibe of the series. I don't know if you have noticed, but anime is very dialogue heavy. But The Reflection has a Gendy Tartakovsky level of dialogue, meaning there is barely any dialogue. I didn't watch much of this, and public perception felt very split. So if you're an anime fan and you want to watch an anime about superheroes, probably skip this one. I mean, hey, Tiger Bunny does exist. But if you're not an anime fan and somehow stumbled upon this video, maybe give The Reflection a shot. So those were all anime that were either adaptations of comic book properties or created by a comic book creator. What about examples that are just strictly taking inspiration from comic books? Well, there is one anime series that I know that has so many references to comic books, it is hard for me to keep track of them. And that series is My Hero Academia. First, before we even get into the contents of the story, we should look at the cover of the volumes. If you direct your attention to the top left-hand corner, you will see a picture of one of the characters along with the name of the publisher, Shonen Jump, and the volume number. This is a reference to how comics used to be sold at newsstands, and because of how the stands were set up, you could only see the top third of the book. So all of the necessary information like the title, price, and publisher had to be put in that top third. And since the cover illustration was hidden, it became common practice to put the character or one of the characters in the top left corner so it could be easily recognizable as that character's book. I really love that My Hero references this. It gives the whole series a comic book-like feel, which is very fitting for a series about superheroes. There are also more references to comics inside the book. Early on, after Deku inherits One for All, he calls All Might asking him about what to do about his quirk registration form, to which All Might explains that it is very easy to change it, and then gives an example of thinking that your quirk was to shoot water from your hands, but then you realize that you can actually manipulate the water molecules in the air, which is a different power. This is firstly a reference to retcons, which is a very common thing in comics where one thing is changed by a newer story, but I also believe that this is a direct reference to Iceman from the X-Men, who for a long time thought his power was to shoot ice from his hands, but then Emma Frost, taking over his body, showed him that he is able to freeze the water molecules in the air. This is pretty much one-to-one the example that All Might gave to Deku. I can't prove that Horikoshi is referencing this retcon with this line, but even if he's not, it's still a cool coincidence. And besides, there is one part of the story that is 100% a DC reference. In My Hero, we get introduced to three characters, Mirio, Nejire, and Tamaki. They are known as the Big Three, which is exactly what everyone calls Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman. Each character in the My Hero Big Three is similar to a character in the DC Big Three. Mirio wears a cape and is very courageous, and he has an indomitable spirit. Tamaki is brooding and doesn't hang around the others all that often, but he's still part of the group. And Nejire is a woman. One more note about Tamaki. His name, Sun Eater, is also shared with the Sun Eater from the DC event Final Night, although the DC Sun Eater's name is a little more on the nose. These fun references are actually the reason why I love My Hero so much, and this was the whole reason why I wanted to make this video, and I'm glad I did, because I learned about a lot of things I hadn't heard of before, and hopefully you learned a lot as well. So, thank you for watching. I hope everyone out there is enjoying Comic Book Month. If you are, definitely leave a comment, leave a like, make sure to subscribe, and with that, sayonara.